coming of age in a 24/7 media environment that bombards us with all kinds of content and exposes us to all kinds of arguments, some of which don't always rank that high on the truth meter. And with iPods and iPads and Xboxes and PlayStations, none of which I know how to work, information becomes a distraction, a diversion.
I mean, America, are you kidding me? Really? Now he's going to take care of us. He knows. He knows. I've just shown you. These are trustworthy, POTUS approved. PBS, Washington Post, MSNBC with GE and SEIU and Apollo Alliance and AFL-CIO and AmeriCorps and the Huffington Post and Free Press with PBS. It's great. It's great. But I'm engaging in falsehoods. It's weird because I get a lot of the things that we do, I get the video that they've posted themselves before they scrub them clean off the internet. I guess they can't scrub as fast as we find them saying things. And then they have to make it sound like we're doing evil rumors, even though it's usually them. No one else is engaged in confusing the American public except for this network, talk radio, and the internet. So now the president wants to regulate the internet to help control all the misinformation out there. He's going to do it with net neutrality. Well, the court said no. Net neutrality is free press, reform media, transform democracy. It's fantastic. And that was their idea, but the court said no. Nancy Pelosi said, well, we'll pole vault it just to get things done. I mean, whatever. So now what they're doing is the FCC is just they're going to make it a public utility, the internet. Where are you, America, without the internet? And they're right about the misinformation. It's everywhere. MSNBC, let's watch.
The members of these Tea Parties are older, which would seem to suggest they should remember that the same anti-government stuff was hurled at Clinton while the country was prospering in ways it had not previously under Clinton.
Imagine if people were protesting against cuts to government that were going to hurt their quality of life. It might not get as much airtime as the Tea Party anti-government protests, but that is, in fact, some of what's going on out there in America right now.
How about PBS? How about PBS? Could we do the PBS?
There's a very important incident described in this book that occurred in 1965 when the John Birch Society, an organization these new Americanist groups resemble, the ones who are marching in Washington and holding tea parties. Essentially very extremist, revanchist groups that view politics in a conspiratorial way.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Bill Moyers, for that. Extremists, conspiratorial, anti-government radicals. You know what's weird is somebody took the time in the last couple of weeks. I can't even imagine how much time it took to go through all of the transcripts of this show and then compare my words to the words of Adolf Hitler in Mein Kampf. Who has that kind of time? Especially in this booming economy. Who has that? You might have seen the report on the liberal blog site, The Daily Kos. But where did this actually come from? It's weird. George Soros, Media Matters. It's so, I knew so. It took a lot of money to do that and time. By the way, have you seen the story about how my ratings are dropping? The week that this came out, we were #1 in entire cable all week. Yeah, I mean, Bill O'Reilly did take a vacation, so hats off to Bill. Take a few more, will you? One of those nasty rumors. Look at that. There it is. I actually saw this on in the LA Times. You know where it came from first? Isn't that strange? There's also these internet postings that I've lost like 70,000 sponsors, companies that haven't even been formed yet, stopping advertising on this show. You could read them all about, read about those all the time on the Huffington Post and... Yes, Media Matters. Media Matters, which is that George Soros, leftist, socialist, kind of all of these people rolled up into one. That's weird. Mr. President, I think you might be onto something. And lastly, a strange thing happened on Facebook or Twitter page this weekend. After months and years of this never happening to me, my fans have suddenly started posting racist things. That's weird because all the leftists people on Twitter are saying, why hasn't Glenn Beck said anything about this? Well, because I'm not responsible for idiots. And I don't think they're a fan of mine, honestly. Why? Well, have you met Cass Sunstein? Because Cass Sunstein showed his hand. You see, he has steps to dispel a conspiracy theory against the government. Yeah. Came out in a memo. It's fantastic. What the government can do about conspiracy theories. The first, ban all conspiracy theories. Yeah. Somehow or another they define that as, things that you don't like. Second is tax conspiracy theories. Tax them financial or otherwise, those people who disseminate such theories. What is the otherwise part, Cass? Then they say that the government themselves may engage in counterspeech, marshaling arguments to discredit conspiracy theories. Why discredit them? Why not just prove them to be wrong? I was waiting for an answer, but I don't think they're going to call. Number 4, this one I really like. The government might formally hire credible private parties to engage in counterspeech. They say online, kind of like my Twitter page. And in person, there might be a government agent. It's neat because they say this is going to help the credibility of the government if they do that. And then the last one, they might engage in informal communication with such parties, encouraging them to help. Cass Sunstein's words. He says anything that he deems a false conspiracy against the government will be taken to task. I want to ask you a question. You know that the NEA has made rules for radicals recommended reading? Did you know that? Yeah. The people in Washington, they're the radicals. They're the radicals. They are. Not you, not me. But Rules of Radicals, their playbook. May I quote something out of that playbook and just ask yourself, who are you more comfortable with? Rules of Radicals, quote, lest we forget at least an over-the-shoulder acknowledgement to the very first radical from our legends, mythology, and history. And who's there to know where mythology leaves off and history begins, or which is which? The first radical known to man who rebelled against the establishment and did so effectively that he at least won his own kingdom. Oh, man. Lucifer. Satan. Saul Alinsky. We are dealing with people who think they should rebel until they get their own little kingdom like Satan did. You know what? Thanks, Mr. President, but I think we're going to keep the internet the way it is right now. Or at least until people aren't worshiping Satan and, are in office. America, please don't let them change the Miranda laws. Don't let them do anything to citizens. Please understand who we're facing. I want to talk to you about the economy, but the president said this weekend there's a lot of crazy theories going out there. So I figure we'd better check in with the Huffington Post and the New York Times on this next story. The story is Greece. Now, Greece, the debt problem, fixed, and it was a close one. The European Union bolstered Greece's floundering economy with almost $1 trillion of infusion. Now, right now, if you don't listen to this show, you only just read the Times, you'd probably be a tad confused. You say to yourself, wait a minute, didn't I just hear that it was a $40 billion bailout? And then just the other day, wasn't it like a $145 billion bailout? And then I wake up this morning and it's $1 trillion for Greece? Wow. How did that happen? If you watch the show, you know, because this is what I said about Greece on February 24th with David Buckner. France goes down. This weakens France. Then people will rush to bail out France because France can't bail. That won't work.
And a larger country, you've got Germany that comes in, and we make the assumption Germany is there to bail out France as part of the EC.